What's up, peeps? This is Todd and welcome back to my show. Thank you guys so much for stopping by the channel today. I know the audio has not been great, rest assured. I ordered some soundproofing panels for the walls. They just haven't arrived yet, but as soon as they get here, I will put them up. This video is meant to be a real estate beginner guide in which I basically lay out a roadmap, a treasure map, if you will, about how exactly to get started investing in real estate. I'm going to try to keep this as simple as possible and digestible as possible and just pretty much give you guys the basics so you can go ahead and get started. Now, the phenomenal news is once you guys are done watching this video, you can literally get started on everything I'm about to tell you today. So remember, none of the information that I give you has any value if you don't actually take it and go use it. So make sure that once you watch this video, you go out and start the process if investing in real estate is one of your goals. And of course, it is a way to make a boatload of money. And just to clarify, when I talk about investing in real estate specific for this video, I'm not talking about wholesaling or flipping. I'm not talking about becoming a real estate agent. What I'm talking about is buying property, putting a tenant in there, getting that tenant to pay off the mortgage for you, and also hopefully producing some cash flow every single month. In my mind, passive income is the best type of income because it requires the least amount of work and you also can pay legally $0 in taxes. So this is the way you want to do it. So step one for investing in real estate is getting your credit score as high as possible. So I have previously made videos about how to get a perfect credit score. So instead of going through all of that, I'll just go ahead and link those videos down below. But one thing you guys need to realize is your credit score is a really important number when factoring how much a bank is going to loan you. Not only does your credit score determine the amount they're going to lend you, but it also determines the interest rate you're going to get from that lender. Keep in mind, the higher your credit score, the lower the interest you're going to pay. And unfortunately, if your credit score is lower, that means you're going to be paying a higher interest rate. So if you guys have a low credit score, one of two things is going to happen. Either the bank is not going to give you a loan, or they're going to charge you a ridiculously high interest rate. Now, I'm not going to go into the politics of it, but this is part of the reason how the rich get richer and the poor get poorer is because rich people have a phenomenal credit score and poor people typically don't have that great of a score, so they're either not able to buy assets, or even if they are, they're paying a boatload in interest, which means they have a higher payment, and then if they default on that payment, the bank can come back and take their home away. And if any of my watchers out there, if any of my subscribers either can't get a loan or get their home taken away, that would make me a very sad panda.
That makes me a sad panda.
So literally right after you watch this video, check out the video that I have linked in the description on how to get a perfect credit score. And then also check out, I made a video earlier this year about the top 4 credit cards of 2020. If you don't have a credit card yet, even if you do, but you want to get more to start building credit, make sure to get one of those credit cards. They offer a new account bonus and you can start building your credit today. Now, the second step, if you want to buy real estate, is to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. Just kidding, but seriously, it will help you. Step 3, of course, is to save as much money you can for the down payment. So when you go out to buy real estate, depending on the type of loan you're getting, you're probably going to have to pay anywhere between 3.5% down and 20% down. For my very first property, I used a first-time homebuyer program, and I was able to get away with 3.5% down. But for my second property that I bought 9 months later, I did have to come up with the full 20% down payment. Again, when a banker looks at you and is trying to determine whether or not they're going to give you a loan, they're going to look at how much cash you have. They're actually going to ask you for bank statements showing the cash that you have for that down payment. They will also check out your income and your debt to income ratio just to make sure you make enough money to cover that payment. And of course, as we talked about earlier, they're going to check your credit score. So one thing that I get asked all the time, like way too often, is how do I invest in real estate with no credit, no money down, and no income? Now, the good news is there actually is a way to do that. The bad news is it's very, very expensive. Now, I won't get into it too much in this video, but basically the people that are asking that question are looking for a hard money loan. That's essentially when a private investor will lend them money to then use to go buy real estate. The problem is hard money loans typically have an interest rate of between 12 and 16%. And just to put it in perspective, the interest rates that I'm paying on just regular real estate are between 3 and 4%. So you definitely, if you can avoid it, you definitely don't want to get a hard money loan. You want to beef up your down payment, you want to increase your credit score, and you do want to make money. Now, there are several tips that I have in order to save money for that down payment. One is to become a mystery shopper so that instead of spending money on food and entertainment, you're getting all of that for free. And then of course you can save the difference. Another tip is to to check out my friends over at Every Bank Bonus and learn how you can make between $50 and $500 just in 10 minutes of your time signing up for new bank accounts. This is a process called bank account churning, and I've been doing it for the past 6 years. But the number one way to make money, to actually increase your income, in my humble opinion, is to be in sales. Now, of course, being in sales isn't for everyone, but you guys, if your income isn't tied to the amount of time you put in, it's instead tied to the results that you produce, essentially you can make an unlimited amount of money as long as you're really good at what you do. Now, step 4 is to actually prove the income that you've made. So all of the money that you're making, whether it's secret shopping or 9 to 5 or you're an Uber driver, you have to report all of that on your taxes. When you go to the bank to get a loan, they're going to want to see an income history, and that will be in the form of tax returns. So if you're the type of person right now that most of your money is made under the table, you gotta stop doing that if you want to invest in real estate, and also you should probably do everything above board so you don't, go to prison for tax fraud. The good news is when you start getting passive income investing in real estate, you can actually pay 0 taxes legally. Now, when you go to prove your income, they're probably going to ask you for pay stubs, tax returns, and they're going to want to see at least a 2-year history in one given industry before they actually count that money as far as your eligibility goes. This is essentially in order to avoid high-risk borrowers that may not be able to make the payment after just a couple of months of owning the home. So step number 4 is actually to go and reach out to a lender and get pre-qualified. Essentially what that means is they're going to look at your tax returns, your debt to income ratio, your credit score, and they're going to issue you a pre-approval letter. In that letter, they will tell you exactly how much they're going to lend you to buy real estate. This is a really important step because it can save you a lot of time in your home search. For example, let's say you were going to go out and pound the pavement looking for homes priced at $800,000, and you do that for months. But then finally you actually go get the pre-approval letter and the bank says, hey, you're actually only eligible to buy a home that's $300,000. So that means you've wasted all of those months looking at homes that you can't even buy. You definitely want to avoid finding that perfect spot that checks all your boxes and then have it be out of your budget. So this is a very important step, you guys. Make sure to get pre-qualified, get that pre-approval letter so you can figure out exactly the types of homes that you're eligible to buy. Now, step number 6 is to make sure that you understand everything that's available in your market that's in your price range. Me personally, all of the properties that I bought are just outside Seattle in an undervalued area that's going through a transition. I made a video earlier this year about how I received over $738,000 in free money in terms of appreciation in just the last 4 years because those are the areas that I buy in. So I don't know specifically where your area is, but I typically invest within a 10 to 20 minute drive of downtown Seattle. In downtown Seattle, we have Amazon, Starbucks, Microsoft, Expedia. All these huge companies are there, and of course, real estate is skyrocketing. And a lot of people in Seattle that don't work in tech are moving south because they don't want to pay $5,000 a month for some 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment. So I'm investing in these areas, capitalizing on the high rental demand and also the potential for mass appreciation. Now, step number 6 is to actually go ahead and make an offer on a home if it's in your price range and if it checks a lot of your boxes. Don't go out and buy real estate just for the sake of buying real estate. Make sure that it's the right deal for you. This YouTube studio that I am recording in is in my duplex, and I kid you not, it took me 10 months to find this duplex. I was literally looking at properties online pretty much every day for a solid year, and I would go see properties every single weekend. But I am very, very specific in my criteria when I go to buy property. And so I did not even find the right one until about a year into my search. Now, I do have a lot of experience because this is actually the 6th property that I've bought. But again, across all of my properties, I've gained a massive amount of appreciation, and I've never missed a single month's rent across any room in any house. That is because I am extremely particular when buying a house. So that is the next step, to make offers, but only make an offer if the house is going to work for you. And make sure when you make that offer that you're not overpaying. So once you actually make that offer, you can get an appraisal to make sure that it appraises for exactly what you're going to pay for it. Now, the 8th step, once that offer is accepted, you want to make sure you do an inspection. Now, if the home is new construction, like most of the ones that I've bought, it had to pass a city inspection before they even put it on the market. So I would recommend that you get an inspection, but I'm not super concerned about getting multiple inspections if the home is new construction. However, if it's an old home, I would get as many inspections as you can by as many different inspectors as you can, because one might see something that the other one doesn't see. Keep in mind though, there is a cost to that. I've seen inspections anywhere from $300 to $1,100. But me personally, I would rather get 3 inspections and have peace of mind than to not get any inspections just to save the money and then have a lemon house that starts falling apart 3 years into owning it. Now, the next step in the process to buying real estate is to close on the property. Throughout the process of looking at homes, getting the inspection, talking to the real estate agent, you're also going to be having a conversation with your lender about how much to put down, closing costs, and when you're actually going to go ahead and sign on the dotted line. And through this process, they're probably going to be pinging you for those bank statements that we talked about earlier. They're going to be running credit to make sure that your credit score hasn't dipped, you haven't taken out any more crazy loans or anything like that. And they're going to stay on top of it just to make sure that you can indeed buy this house. Now, I have seen closing times as fast as 2 weeks. I've also seen them take as long as 60 days. So by the time you actually make an offer and the offer is accepted and then you get your bank involved, it may be as long as 2 months before the house is yours, but sometimes it can be quicker. It all just depends on the type of property, how much work needs to be done with it after the inspections, if any, and also who your lender is. Now, the next step in this process is to do any sort of renovations if needed. Personally, I have never actually done this step because I've always bought new construction or I've bought somebody else's flip. So any renovations that needed to be done were already done before I bought it. If you do have to do renovations, make sure you find a good contractor. It's not a bad idea to get a couple of bids, and you want to keep an eye on that process. But this is exactly why I buy new construction. I just don't want to deal with renovations. I don't have the time for it, and I'd rather not have the headache of dealing with any problems. Now, the last step in this process is actually going to find a tenant. So what I would recommend is you want phenomenal photos for your listing. So let's say that the house that you bought did not need any renovations, and you bought it on the MLS. That means there are probably really good photos of that house already on Redfin or Zillow. So what I would do is I would go to the listing, the same listing that you saw that made you want to buy the home in the first place, and I would go download all of those photos. Now, if you bought the house off the MLS, or if you had to do a lot of renovations so the house looks differently, then I would hire a good photographer to go throughout and take phenomenal pictures. Good pictures sell the rental. Now, the next thing I would do is I would advertise. I would advertise on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, Zillow, Trulia, and because my business is all renting out by the bedrooms, I would also look at Facebook groups that are rooms, sublets, apartments, and shares, and I would also advertise on RentHoop and Roomy. Personally, I have never once paid for advertising. I have always done all of my advertising for free, and social media is a great tool to do that. And if you guys want to know exactly which websites I have gotten the most traction on, I did make a video a while back about how to find tenants for your house hacking business, and I literally go through step by step every website that I use, also the hit ratio. I give you my number one choice, and I just rank them from best to worst. Now, once you have somebody that actually answers your ad, whether it's on Craigslist, Facebook, or RentHoop, or whatever, you want to set up a tour. What I usually do is I offer a virtual tour first. Whether it's FaceTime over Facebook Messenger or Zoom, I want to give that potential renter a chance to see the space before they ever actually meet me in person. Now, this may seem strange, but it offers sort of a safety security measure, especially in my situation. I am male, and if the person wanting to rent the room is female, it offers her just sort of a sense of safety that she gets to see everything about the house without having to actually come here and meet me in person and making sure that I'm not some crazy guy. Now, a lot of people would disagree with me on this next one, but I also include all of my social media in my ads. So if you find my ad on Craigslist, you can also find my LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. You can make sure that, it's me and I am who I say I am. Now, after that virtual tour, I would then meet them in person, give them an in-person tour of the home, make sure that they see that the home is exactly what it looks like in the pictures, and the exact same layout as that video tour that you previously took. Now, if they like what they see in that in-person tour and they want to move forward, that's when I send them over the background check. And the one that I use is from a company called Smart Move TransUnion. The great thing about Smart Move TransUnion is it is completely free to the landlord, but it charges the potential tenant $40. Smart Move TransUnion is a third party, and after they submit that background check, they will actually tell you, Smart Move will tell you whether or not to accept or deny that tenant. The good news is if you have to deny a tenant, you just point them to Smart Move. If they say, hey, why was I denied? You say, look, it wasn't me, it's just this third party. It's Smart Move TransUnion, and they told me to deny you. So if you have a problem, take it up with them. Smart Move TransUnion runs a calculation of their credit score, their debt to income ratio, whether they've been evicted or not, whether they've been convicted of a felon, and basically whether or not they're going to be a good tenant who's going to be able to pay you on time every single month. If Smart Move TransUnion deems them a good tenant, they will tell you to accept. And if they deem them a bad tenant, they're going to tell you to deny. Now, once that background check has been accepted, then you send over the lease agreement for that potential tenant to review. If everything looks good, then both parties sign, you collect a deposit, And hey, you just got your first tenant. Well, that's pretty much it for this video, you guys. I know it was a long one. Thank you so much for those of you who stuck to the end, and I'll see you at the next video. Peace.